going to talk about African entrepreneur, innovation amongst Africa. If you want to use Innovate Africa as the hashtag, appreciate that. My brother lives in Africa. Early last year, he got a Galaxy S4, and the first time he truly started to use the net. The connection speed is terribly slow. There are no landlines. The big telecommunication companies told him it's just not worth the cost for the infrastructure, as it's too remote. He was told to forget about broadband. But he didn't take no for an answer. Did a bit of research, contacted an engineer, and a couple of weeks later, they installed a line-of-sight microwave system, hopping the signal from the city via antennas installed on grain silos to eventually end up at this tower he erected next to his house. And he's got broadband. Can be done. I want to highlight some examples of how Africans embrace modern technology, how they reinterpret objects and technology and put them to innovative uses, how the mobile boom is connecting millions of people, how innovative utility apps solve real problems, and I will just touch on some challenges faced by developers. So as we can see, the African economy is growing faster than any other continent. According to the economists, 6 of the world's 10 fastest growing economies over the last decade are in sub-Saharan Africa. Since the mid-1990s, the economy has grown by an average of 5% a year. At the start of this period, Africa's trade with China was minimal. It is now worth around $200 billion a year. Africa's middle class has tripled over the last 30 years. Africa now has the fastest growing middle class, according to Standard Bank. Around 60 million Africans have an income of $3,000 a year, and 100 million will in 2015. The rate of foreign investment has increased around tenfold in the past decade. But we should not take this optimism in small doses. Most Africans live on less than $2 a day. The money is not trickling down as it should, and corruption is scandalous. Government legislation is making it hard for businesses. Oh, you can't really see it. This is a picture of the world from space at night. It shows that this image was constructed using a series of cloud-free night photos shot from a new NASA satellite. It shows the glow of human-built phenomena across the planet. You can hardly see it, but Africa, the massive continent in the middle, is the dark one. It's dark because more than 2/3 of residents in sub-Saharan Africa don't have access to electricity. That's around 70%, or 500 million people have to live without electrical power. One of the greatest challenges Africa is facing today is the lack of electric power. Another monumental problem is the lack of infrastructure, road access, and affordable, accessible healthcare. Because of these challenges, Africa, we see the purest form of innovation out of necessity. Take this bicycle, for example. We might think of a mode of transport, exercise, recreation, and fun. In Tanzania, the majority of people live without electricity, yet 1/3 of the country uses mobile phones. So when your phone runs out of power and you don't have any electricity to charge it, what do? Well, out of necessity, the bicycle becomes a phone charger. You plug your phone in and charge the battery while you pedal away. Here is an example of a pedal-powered cinema. Most electricity in South Africa is generated with the use of coal. Not ideal, as we know. However, South Africans are coming up with amazing ideas for cleaner and more sustainable sources of energy. An example of algae to energy was introduced this year by Professor Benzeli at the South African University. Algae biomass will be used to convert millions of tons of waste coal dust into a clean, high-quality coal briquette. They've coined a trademark named Corky. Then this is then used as biofuel. As a result of electricity shortage, millions of people are forced to live in darkness. Some use dirty electricity like paraffin lanterns and candles, which cause millions of deaths every year because of fire and toxins. With this in mind, Michael Schaffner, an African entrepreneur, created a lithium-powered light source that screws into a soda bottle filled with water. Installed in a hole in the roof, it lets light in at day while charging and provides clean solar power at night. It provides 40 hours of light on an 8-hour charge, and it costs only $10.
How many hours of light?
$10.
No, how many hours of light?
Oh, 40 hours of light.
40.
Yes. Although solar technology is clean, perfectly suited for African weather, it's still very expensive. African scientists developed a new thin-film solar module technology that offers much more efficient means of converting solar energy to electricity. Production costs are dramatically reducing and will hopefully make solar power available to the masses. The continent is experiencing a mobile phone boom. Mobiles are providing affordable connectivity to millions of people. Before mobile, people had limited access to telecommunications, if any at all. Because of a lack of telecommunication infrastructure, Africa completely skipped the desktop era. It is a mobile-first continent, or rather a mobile-only continent. Most people's first encounter with the internet will be through a mobile phone. Phones are being used for everything, as a torch, a radio, for transferring money, to providing healthcare information. There's a real need to offer money services to people who don't have access to credit or bank accounts. Often the only source of emergency cash is loan sharks, and bank branches are few and far between. There is an astonishing growth of mobile phone banking and mobile-based services that bridge this gap. In the developing world, not everyone can afford a mobile phone, or only need to make the occasional call. Mobile is often shared between family members or whole village entrepreneurs make their living by selling individual calls. In West Africa, for example, umbrella ladies simply set up at the side of the road with a chair, a mobile, and some shade to the sun. For some, making calls just too expensive. Pay-as-you-go was pioneered in Africa. This enables people to use the pervasive practice of beeping. Beeping involves calling a number and hanging up before the owner can pick up. In this way, coded messages can be sent between people without spending any money. It doesn't necessarily mean call me back. It can be pre-negotiated codes like I'm safe or pick me up. It's a fascinating combination of poverty breeding ingenuity, which proves that necessity is truly the mother of innovation. Africa is buzzing with its own brand of innovation, taking existing technology and adapting it to new uses. Healthcare is another area in which Africa faces enormous challenges due to the lack of infrastructure and few trained medical specialists. This is where the innovative use of mobile technology is making an enormous impact on people's daily lives. For example, in Rwanda, it is estimated that 500,000 people are suffering from HIV. Ensuring that antiretroviral drugs are rapidly dispensed, TrackNet was created. TrackNet is a system developed to capture and circulate critical health information and enable drug distribution. It uses solar energy chargeable mobile devices, which can be used in the most remote part of the country. In Cameroon, a 24-year-old engineer invented a touchscreen medical tablet that enables heart examinations, such as an ECG, to be performed in remote rural locations. The results of the test are transferred wireless to specialists who can interpret and diagnose the patients. These and other innovative uses of mobile technology don't come without its share of challenges. Western developers are used to multi-core smartphones running on fast networks. If you want to make apps for Africa, you have to think slow. Above is mobile device types in Africa according to Facebook in Q2 of last year. We can still see that feature phones is having a big slice and BlackBerry is still widely in use. And below is the mobile application platform expected to dominate in Africa. And we can see Android will take a big slice of that. What we consider as low-end Android is the typical Android in Africa. So according to Ericsson, one of the most common mobile phones in the world is the K-Touch. It has a single core processor, 3.5-inch display with a 480 by 320 resolution. So when you hear about the next billion people going online, this is the kind of device they're going to use to do it. What's more is they're going to run on networks where traffic moves in kilobytes per second, not megabytes. For bandwidth-hungry apps, this poses multiple problems. When phones are constantly trying to pull and push data to a slow network, it eats battery power. So that's a much bigger problem than simply needing to charge your iPhone twice a day. Poor coverage affects battery capacity, and if you can charge your phone only once a week, it becomes a real problem. Language is also a big consideration, as there is around 2,000 languages spoken natively. However, in sub-Saharan Africa, most people can speak English as a second language. Low literacy rates could mean thinking about communication in apps in terms of symbols that transcend language. In spite of these challenges, smartphones or the mobile internet are booming. Mobile phones are getting more affordable. By the third quarter of last year, smartphones overtook feature phones. Africans are embracing technology. It empowers them. It makes knowledge available to the poorest. This farmer is accessing agricultural information. When is the best time to plant his crops? What price can he get on his market? What's the weather would be like? And so forth. Mobile gives a voice to people. I believe mobile technology can empower the masses to put pressure on governments and to expose corruption. It is out of necessity that they are having to do more with less. People who have real problems will find creative solutions. Let's not just give aid, but teach them how to code. Thank you.